Everybody, this is Juicebox Poppy 182's interview with Aaron Schoenke, and he has some good questions.
And then that starts to, you get momentum and it snowballs, and then it turns into, we were creating movies long before YouTube was a thing.
Going with that, did you ever go to a film school, like a formal film school, or was it like straight to YouTube, like start out like as fast as possible type of thing, like you saw an opportunity and went for it?
I love this question, right? You know why I love this question? Now, sure, there are some successful directors who never went to film school. Aaron's truly not one of them. But man, he biting that lip like, no, I didn't. Because some of the mistakes that Aaron makes, anyone who went to film school wouldn't.
Film school for a little bit. And it,
at this point, he should have been like, what film school?
Wasn't for me. I personally have been doing film for a long time, and I kind of already had my own regimen of way to do it. I'm not saying that film school is bad. I'm not saying people shouldn't go. Just for me, it didn't work as much. I think it was John Lennon who said he lost his art at art school. But if you went to art school, Tim Burton went to Cal Arts, and he's a genius. So I'm not putting any of that down. But then I just thought, with me and my dad, we just do it ourselves. We'll just figure it out. Like, basically, failure is the key to success. So keep failing, learn, and then you're like, oh, that's okay. Why? Okay, that's interesting. Let's just try it. I'm a big fan of let's just try it. If it's wrong, be honest with yourself why it's wrong, and then be like, okay, we can do this better. Let's do it again. Because, it's kind of like, after all, you can read how to play an instrument, but until you pick that instrument up and you're just kind of getting into it, then you're like, oh. And that's kind of how we kind of charted our path.
Going off of that,
there is some truth in failing, right? But you got to learn at some point from your failures. And I don't think Aaron has learned from his failures. The beatdowns did plateau, but the most interesting part is he didn't go to film school. And Dinesh did bring that up and say, hey, you got to talk about that. But Juicebox Poppy actually said something. In fact, if you ask me, Juicebox was the best part of this interview. For me, to get to see Juicebox in action, to see my dog, one of my day ones in action, just zoom, 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 zoom. And Aaron don't realize he's just walking into these traps. But I was like, good job, Juicebox.
The greatest award-winning director, you need to get the hell out right now. Yeah. And that's like the...
Hold on, I gotta go back a little bit.
I care about that, you know what I'm saying? So you lead, and it's just the whole thing. I say this because it's a lot of work that you have to kind of just leap forward, and you don't really have a plan. Like, if you want to be like a doctor or a lawyer, you have to go to school. But it's to have your art affect people and touch people. It's so rewarding, and so it's so much of a blessing. So I'm just beyond that's why I post gratitude posts all the time. I'm just really blessed. I
absolutely did, because Kevin Smith talks about it, that he went to film school one day, and one of his professors was just like, if you're expecting me to make you, the greatest award-winning director, you need to get the hell out right now. Yeah. And that's the most PG version that I can say, was because you can't teach talent. I think you can learn everything that there is in the books. It's kind of like when I had art class in college. I told the teacher, I'm just not good at painting. I'm not good at this stuff. If you give me the book, I will regurgitate the Italian Renaissance like no one other.
I think I missed it. I'm sorry. My voicemails are blowing up. The biggest thing that Juicebox Poppy said is you can't teach talent. Okay? You can't teach it. And right now, Aaron is going crazy behind the scenes trying to hit up people. All right? You can't teach talent. And Juicebox was so spot on with this, man. And I just want to congratulate him on this hell of an interview. Let me go back to my notes. And that's the only thing I wanted. But he started cooking around 23 minutes. where he was like, hey, what does it take to make a Bat in the Sun film? All right.
Everyone comes together. You're trying to you're taking your money from your job to make sure.
Hold on.
Anything that we can do to help you or to help Jason, 100% we'll do it. Anything for our hero. And the next portion that we wanted to ask, segueing into that, is you've been doing Bat in the Sun for about 20 years, is what you're telling us. So, what a lot of people, I guess, online have been asking, and it's good that we have the man in front of us and who's willing to answer questions. What it takes to make a Bat in the Sun. So not Legend of the White Dragon, but just a Bat in the Sun video.
In the beginning, they were much smaller. It was just some friends getting together, being like, hey, let's make something cool and see if it resonates. Everyone comes together. You're trying to you're taking your money from your job to make sure you have enough for rent and food, which are we can make these costumes, and everyone's working for free back in the day.
Everyone was working for free back in the day because they didn't know Aaron was getting ad rev.
You're just trying to just make cool content because you love this stuff. You want to make it. And that's where you're paying your dues and that sort of thing is. You're just out here what are we doing? It's 4 a.m. We're shooting illegally behind some sort of
shooting illegally. I love that he said that because you probably were. You're in the beginning. You don't got much.
You want to make it. And that's where you're paying your dues and that sort of thing is. You're just out here what are we doing? It's 4 a.m. We're shooting illegally behind some sort of alleyway to get this shot. But doing that constantly and posting and it getting bigger. Now we're working on all these really big. The budgets from Beatdown in the beginning were super small. They were $5,000.
$5,000. Woo, that's very generous. Maybe, I don't know which production he's talking about. There's one production that was $5,000 according to one of my sources, but he reported it was $20,000. I'm trying to find the interview because this is what my source said. They said it's still out there, still on the internet, but it was so long ago. Now, here's the thing, man. When it comes to budget, him talking about budget, you're going to see someone break down how Aaron budgets it and why he does it. And I'll give you a sneak peek. It's basically because if you say, hey, I did this for $5,000, then someone will say, hey, here's $5,000, do it again. When you be like, well, would you want $10,000? Like if NBC was like, hey, Henry, we want you to do a segment for us. What's your rate? How much does it cost for you to produce your live stream? I'm be like, I'm not going to tell him my price. I'm going to inflate that shit. But for you guys, I give y'all the real deal. I'll let you know, hey, this desktop cost the exact amount of money. This is how much we raised. So the difference that you're going to see in one of these interviews, I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. You give the studios the higher price, but when you're crowdfunding with fans and you're giving your fans the higher price, that's not cool. It is a great exchange in one of those interviews. But let's let Aaron continue.
And that's just out of my own pocket, just trying to from what I made at Apple and savings at the time. And then, they grew up. And then our last Beatdown, which is now 5 years ago, I think that was over I want to say that was probably over 50 or 60, grand to make these things.
50 or 60, right? So you got to be like, okay, 50 or 60 grand to make. You no way. Let's go to videos. 50 or 60. So the last Beatdown, if I'm not mistaken, was 5 years ago? 50 or 60 grand to make. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to his YouTube channel, he re-uploads them oh, here's them fighting. I'm like, where's the real Superpower Beatdown? Maybe if I go to the playlist, Superpower Beatdown, 13 videos. We just want to see all. Hold on, right here, right? The beauty of this. This one 100% is not 50 or 60,000. You're smoking dope. If this is 50 or 60,000 when you're shooting in the parking lot, no way. This is 50 or 60,000. Wait, he said it though, right? So it must be true. You have a beatdown that lasts for, what's this, 4 minutes? Right? This is the last one episode. Is there one like after this? Right? He's gonna say he misspoke. Let's make sure. Like, I was catching him all the time. Like, wait, what?
And that's just like out of my own pocket, just trying to like, from what I made at Apple and savings at the time. And then, they grew up. And then our last beatdown, which is now 5 years ago, I think that was over like, I want to say that was probably over like 50 or 60.
50 or 60. This is cappuccino. How do I know it's not 50 or 60, right? I believe, if my sources are correct, this was filmed in a hotel parking lot, right? And I believe, if my sources correct, they were sponsored to do this. And if my sources are correct, maybe this took 2 days to film at the hotel. And I believe, if my sources are correct, Tatiana and where's the other girl? Now I know people probably gonna think it was Tatiana who told me this. It wasn't, but I think what you like. These two ate Chipotle for lunch. And we know our guy Nikolai is not getting the top rate. We know that. So when I see him say our last beatdown was 5 years ago, that was your last one. Now let's just say he got it wrong, right? Let's just say he got it wrong. Maybe he talking about wait, this is 25. So the last one was 26. Bro, even this one, right? Let's just say he got it wrong. You think this is, what did he say, 50, 60,000?
Grand to make this beatdown, which is now 5 years ago. I think that was over like, I want to say that was probably over like 50 or 60, grand to make these things.
What? You mean to tell me it took $50,000 to $60,000 to film Tatiana Neva fight Black Canary for 4 minutes? Because that's what we got. We got a 4-minute beatdown, right? Bro, come on, fans. Please, guys, please. Say it ain't so, man. Say it ain't so. I don't know how he's going to talk himself out of this one.
And that was 5 years ago. To make them now, it's like, oh my gosh, like inflation, as you guys know. I mean, a carton of eggs is like $13. So it's just.
In California, sure. In my parts of the neighborhood, my poor ass is like $2.72.
It's what's interesting is that they're expensive to make now, but they're actually, everyone's still coming in for like a friend rate. So it's like everyone still loves these things. People come in and that's also kind of in the beginning why you do it, because there's a lot of opportunities that come from that. I was just talking like one of our fight coordinators, Alvin Singh, he comes in and he works so hard and he's so passionate and he loves these characters. He loves them. In the beginning, it's like, getting paid very little. He builds this amazing fight choreography reel that's incredible. And he takes it out and he goes, Aaron, I can't work on the next beatdown. I go, why? What's up? Where are you going? He's like, I'm now the fight coordinator on Marvel's Luke Cage. And I was like, well, that's amazing. Congratulations. That's incredible. That's why you do all that.
I don't think he got it because he put this Bat in the Sun beatdown on his resume. I just have a strong inclination that ain't the reason.
He's like, well, when I'm done, I'm coming back though. And, and when he worked on it, he was like, there's positives and, negatives. Like, oh, it's like the big machine, the money is good. But then it's like, I don't have as much control. I miss working hands-on. I miss making art. You become part of, as you guys know, you become part of this machine, which is not, I don't want to villainize the machine, because you have to, in order to churn out as many episodes as they do, as quickly as they do. They throw money at things, they bring in the talented people they can, and they got to go. So that is a lot of fun, but then also coming back and just kind of working on a smaller thing, and it's more about the passion, and you're like, I'm proud of what we got there. So it's been this this growing thing, and I think every beatdown has gotten better and better over time, and I hope they continue to get better. But it's just this constant, just put in the work, and put it in for passion. See if what you get at the end of the day, because that's kind of the gamble. Because sometimes you make a project and you're like, ugh, that wasn't our best beatdown, and you're like, ah.
Well, shit, for $60,000, dog. I wish I can get more people to go on the record, but man, it's tough, dog. It's tough.
But that's the risk that's the risk you take on yourself.
No, 100%. I mean, even Steven Spielberg, just to put it into layman's terms so people understand, I mean, he's made wonderful productions. I mean, he's done all of the Jurassic movies, but
Now I appreciate Juicebox glazing. And actually, Juicebox ain't he be glazing Kevin Smith more than anything. So we gotta go to this portion right here, right? 30 minutes. Okay, here's the thing, right? Aaron doesn't remember what he says, and the only way I can prove him wrong is by pulling up the clips. Right? You like, wait, I have to pull up the clips, because if I don't pull up the clips, he'll say shit's out of whatever. I don't know how he does it. It'll say, oh, it's out of context. It's this, it's that. All right. And he's about to say something where I'm like, wait, dude.
I just want to
when you went live, you said there was some delays because of this.
You're dealing with unions, you're dealing with SAG, everything gets a lot more expensive, a lot more official, a lot more hands-on, people overlooking things, which is all good. I mean, that's what you want. Those are growing pains. That's what you want. But it's just a much huger thing. And you don't want to lose the integrity of your own artistic vision because you have more people involved.
Shout out to my girl Zoe from Australia, says, top of the morning. Look at the people working for that guy, feeding their families with exposure and experience, keeping their bellies full. Look, Zoe, it's an evil world out here.
It's an evil world we live in.
And, sadly, if you give them the opportunity to take advantage of you, they will. They will. And they may even sell it to you as they're not taking advantage of you and providing you with the opportunity of your life to be on my beatdown that's going to get millions of views, Zoe. Okay? Millions of views. How could you pass this up? How could you pass up this offer of millions of views? It's tough, I know. But look at the exposure.
Involved. So it's like, how do you get the best out of those people while still keeping the vision that that me and Jason wanted for this? So that was really kind of the big thing. And your budgets are so much crazier. I said, the most expensive beatdown was over, like I think I said, over 50,000 or something. And now this one is in the millions. It's like, it's crazy. It's not like 10 million or 20 million. I don't want anyone thinking like it was 100 million. It's like nothing like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's less than 10. But it's just huge. It's like a lot bigger. And there's a lot of things. Like, and we shot a lot of it during COVID, which was rough because COVID ate up over 10% of our budget, which is a lot of money. When you're looking at, like if they said, the budget was 10 million, which it wasn't, but let's say it was, that'd be $1 million that just goes to that. And I'm all for keeping people safe. That's not what I'm debating. I'm just saying that there was a lot that was taken from it. So you're dealing with these big components, and you can't be like, well, we'll just forget protocol. We'll just shoot without it. I'm like, no, it is a union SAG demand. Like it's not negotiable. You either comply or you don't make the movie, and it's like you have to do it.
Now, if you don't know, I believe if you go back and you go through his old interviews and he talk about the delays, and COVID was one of them. Oh, we couldn't film for the COVID and all this other stuff. And then I was like, dude, y'all had permission to film during COVID. Permission was granted to film during COVID. And he said things got tricky because now it's like people are starting to catch on to like, oh, wait, you said this in the last interview, but you got to film. And if my sources are correct, he also got the film during the strike, which I believe he says, let's just see.
So there's a lot of things that, just a lot of things you have, the protocol you have to follow, which is kind of gets in the way of filmmaking sometimes, but at the same time, you have to figure out a way to get around it. Me and Jason had very much the same mindset with that. Like Jason liked to just go out and get it done, live with passion, and we'll
I mean, it's a tough watch, guys. It's Aaron Schoenke, man. It's a tough watch.
make it work. And like, because me and Jason were always, and my dad are the people that are on set, after 18 hours, we're still like, we're ready to, go. So him and me really had a kind of a connection over that, just because we love to just go. I don't want to get caught up in all this red tape type stuff. Let's just film. Let's make a movie, and that's probably why we did so many projects together. But, but that passion is on the screen, that we're really excited for you all to see.
So you mentioned SAG. So it was a SAG production, right?
SAG. Oh yeah. White Dragon SAG.
Okay. Because the reason I ask is because I get it. You're the artist, You and Jason. I know Jason because when I was at Power Morphicon, that not the year I met you, the year that I met Jason. The guy was all about, let me crunch out these autographs, let me go as fast as possible, let me do all this. He didn't eat, he didn't take a lunch break, he didn't take any breaks, He was very much like, I'm going against the rules to get this done, With SAG, as you know, they are Big Brother watching everything, Yes. I mean, we don't know the exact reasoning, but we know from interviews with Johnny and Bosch and things like that that's the primary reason the order didn't happen, was because SAG, they shut it down. And it
well, look, SAG, the order got shut down because they were offering people SAG memberships for practically $1,000 to be in the film, and you can't do that.
It wasn't a reason of, hey, we don't want you to make the movie. It was a, hey, pay those people back or you're not making a movie, So a lot of times, that's what I was going to get at, is that free thinkers and artistic people don't do well with SAG because of all the rules. And I can tell Jason was probably like, why can't I do this? I want to do this. Why can't I do the stunt? And it's kind of like, Jason, SAG is watching,
Yeah.
So
there's a way
go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of a way you kind of get around it. I mean, like you're saying on the lunch, like me and Jason were notorious for because you have to take a lunch at a certain hour. Because sometimes you're like, no, we're in the middle of the shot. We need to keep shooting because we're like kind of in it. To start back up, it takes a while.
I can't remember. Is Juicebox Poppy here or Drew? Oh man, if he had to talk about filming during the strike, I only got to listen to it once, guys.
But SAG has like certain hours. If you keep postponing, you get penalized. You have to pay meal penalties. Mm-hmm. But like me and Jason and my dad, basically like everyone would go to lunch and we would just stay on set and we would like eat. I mean, not eat, we would work and not eat. Yeah. And my dad a lot of times would be like, Aaron, you have to eat. Or people after the shooting, I had one of my assistants on set. They would know that I didn't eat. I have a tendency to just work, which is why if you ever watch me on productions, I'm very muscular at the beginning and then very skinny at the end of it. But I have people they'll come up and like eat the food. Like I know you're setting up shots, but like eat. But that's like me and Jason were always just, and my dad just being like, okay, what is this? Let's film this. And they're like, lunch is back in 10 minutes. I was like, all right, let me just inhale this food. But Jason was the same though. He like what you're saying. He just wanted to we got to get this. It's got to be perfect, And this film was really him trying to prove himself as an actor to really handle, a lot of it.
No, and what I was going to get at is, I'm sorry if I use Kevin Smith a lot. It's just that he is a hero of mine.
Bro, Juicebox Poppy loves Kevin Smith. I think Kevin Smith is mentioned almost as much as Aaron Schoenke mentions Jason this or Jason that.
In terms of filmmaking. And I actually learned a lot hearing him talk about how to make movies. So I use him as an example a lot. But he's the free thinker. He's the person that's like, hey, can I get a llama in this scene? And it's like some outlandish thing. And what I was going to get at is that he had Scott Mosier to basically reel him back and be like, hey,
Oh, I got
Alama
it. I got the timestamp.
in this scene
got the
probably
timestamp.
isn't a good idea. Why don't we finish filming and then we can talk about a reshoot with a CGI llama, you know? So
But I did want to talk about Chris J because it's about to come up a little bit.
I know Chris J was the
There we go.
producer on this.
Yes.
I cannot find any credits with Chris. Is he like a producer in name only, or has he done any productions in the past?
So Chris is getting into film. This is kind of his intro into film. Chris, he really wants to do this because Chris is actually handicapped, and he started a film company, Bascule Productions, that he wants to integrate and show how powerful and how valuable people are. Because people get written off when you have a handicap.
Yeah, and sometimes people get taken advantage of, and they get hosed and fleeced. And sometimes you look at the credits, and you're like, Henry, what's going on with the credits? Oh gosh, my scale the window, X, Control C. What the heck, man? my window keeps locking. All right, so when I look at these writers, a source pointed out this. I can't even take credit for it. They was like, look at the writers. Alex Kellerman, Jason David Frank, Alex Kellerman. You're like, well, who is Alex Kellerman? You guys don't remember Alex Kellerman? This is the guy, the friend of Aaron, who was there at Bat in the Sun. I'm like, wait, this guy's a writer? I didn't know. I had no idea. I want to know what was his writing contributions, because I think he likes some political pundit now. I want to know, what part did he create to become this writer, other than being Aaron's friend that worked with him at Apple. I was like, wait, what? The writer of Legend of the White Dragon. We need to make sure we highlight that when we announce that guy. We gonna dig in on him a little bit, but anyway.
And Chris is one of my dearest friends. He was one of my groomsmen.
Bro.
I'm around Chris all the time, and
I do not think Chris is going to invest in any more Bat in the Sun projects after this. I would be surprised, and at that point, it's on Chris J.
I'm an empathetic, understanding person, but being around him, you see it. You see, like, oh, like that person didn't make eye contact with you. That person, all these sort of stuff, and I was like, that was like, and he wants to raise. So he's trying to get, this was his intro to understand.
Aaron's watching live, according to my sources.
Just what it was to make a movie, but now he's already started and he's trying to start and get more stuff going of movies that are for champion, but not in a way that's in your face, but in a way that, like, almost when you can watch the movie and not even like know it, you're just like,
yeah. All right, so Chris J is the money man, right? Is Vera my source? No, I don't know Vera, dog. I do not know her. I don't want to know her. She probably watching too and shit. If Aaron's watching, he's watching. They're watching. Because people behind the scenes are like, hey, this was happening right now. But let's get to the reshoots, right? So by and large, there was a lot of reshoots for Bat in the Sun, for Legend of the White Dragon. And you have to wonder, like, a lot of, there were reshoots. We couldn't cut out Jason. But according to my sources, this is all alleged. I don't know if this is true or whatever. We'll get it. It sounds like a bit of empty real estate between Aaron's ears. It is a lot of word salad, man. And that's why it's hard to watch, because, I actually sent this to all my sources. I was like, hey, watch this. Let me know what you think. Okay. That created empty ears. That created by JDF seems to start and stop with the fact that he's playing the lead. This is totally Aaron's baby that appears to be dead on arrival. It is, man. And the crazy thing is, I don't think anyone on Legend of the White Dragon thought Aaron was going to be in her, because he truly can't act. And, but hey, it is what it is. Now, sometimes it's too big to fail, right? So let's hear what Aaron has to say about his insecurities as an actor. And I'm using actor very loosely.
Think of that. Do you think my Joker voice was?
Hold on. All right. And maybe I'm wrong, right? Aaron's like, no, you wrong. You're wrong, Henry. My acting is up there with Christian Bale's.
And he really watches them, because you get a lot of like Hollywood people saying they love stuff, and then you're like, sure, you read 2 comic books. That doesn't mean you love something. You know, you can talk, Chris, about extreme details about Mortal Kombat or Star Trek.
Bro, who gives a shit, dog? Like, can we make a movie? Does Chris know how to make a movie?
Who fucking cares, bitch?
Like, shout out to Chris, but dog, we want to know if you can make a movie, not your comic book lore or whatever. I'm not a comic book guy, guys. Like I said, I got no dog in this fight.
Or all these things, you know, Smallville, all these things that he grew up watching. So he really understands. I would say he really understands fandom because he's so a part of it.
You have to glaze Chris J, because that's who's paying Aaron's bills, right? Or no, I only. It's so much about Aaron. He said in some comment that he took nothing from the movie or nothing from the budget or whatever. And then in the deleted live stream, he said he took less than 5%. And I'm just like, dude, which one is it? And like, if you give me time, maybe next stream I'll be more organized and we could like really just go through it.
And we would talk, and he would always have, because a lot of times when you're shooting, sometimes you come up with ideas on the spot, and like Jason wants to do something or I want to do something. And then you're like, well, how does that work with what we already have going? And how do we seamlessly, and Chris could have like, well, we have this and we can maybe tie this together. He has a lot of really, really good ideas. And I personally love having like a hive mind when I direct, where it's like, I love hearing feedback. When we did Dying is Easy, I would ask even the grips and the PAs, like, what do you think of that? Do you think my Joker voice was believable? Was it too much? Was it too little? Like,
bro, it's a Mark Hamill imitation, dog. It's a Mark Hamill's Joker voice. But the fact that he keeps saying like, hey, is my Joker voice good or bad? Like, sure, getting feedback is great. But, sometimes you just know like, oh no, I murdered it. Like, there are certain streams that are like, yo, that was a great stream. And there are certain streams that are like, dog, I had to phone it in. I wasn't prepped. I did this, that, blah, blah, blah. Didn't have timestamps. It was horrible. Mic was broke. But he's seeking validation from others. And the reason he's doing it, because he's a bad actor. And according to my sources, take this with a grain of salt, allegedly all that good stuff, the majority of the reshoots were his scenes, because he's the editor. Aaron is editing Legend of the White Dragon. So if you are editing the movie that you are in and you suck as an actor and you look at it, you like, holy crap, I look horrible. Reshoots tomorrow. Whose reshoots are we doing? Dragon Primes. It's like, I love my sources that they just be like, hey, this was what was going on, man. This is what was happening.
Because everyone has a valuable opinion, they're just not where they want to be in their career, but that doesn't mean that one day they won't be there, which means that creative person still lives inside of them. That
would have been a great, like, Juicebox, that would have been a great question. Like, hey, are you where you want to be in your career? Is trying to do Kickstarters for Batman versus blah, 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 where you want to be in your career? Is this where you thought you would be when you started Beatdowns? Now, granted, you have full control, but at the same time, I have a 9-to-5. I go to work. I work for an organization. Aaron, this is his organization. All right. And, you can have highs and lows. And right now, once this movie comes out, it's going to be a low.
So I like hearing everyone's position. So I talked to everyone, like, what did you think? What did you think? Because everyone gives different opinions. And I was like, okay. And I think sometimes it might make shooting a little longer, or some people might get annoyed by that. But I was like, I want to, like, you never know who's going to have that one thing. And I was like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. Thank you,
So imagine you on a friend rate and we have to keep reshooting his shit. I would be pissed off. I'm like, what, dog? I'm on the frame rate. We ain't doing that.
But Chris was great at that, and especially after Jason passed, sadly, the film was in a rough spot, just because we had never done an assembly cut. And on most movies, when you shoot you do your first round of shooting, you do an assembly cut, and you see like, ooh, because you write a script and you go, that's a good script, and then you shoot it and you're like, ooh, what happened? This isn't, like, great example is the Captain America Falcon movie that just came out. They shot it and then they had to go back and reshoot like 60% of the movie.
Bro, he keeps bringing that up because that's his point of reference.
Because it just didn't work.
To validate his reshoots.
But it didn't work. Huh?
My friend actually worked the effects.
Yeah, so there's like, they had like, I think it was like, I don't know, 60% or 60 days that they had to go back and reshoot it. It was like 30, I don't know how much, it was tons of money they had to go back and do that. So like sometimes it just doesn't work. And after we edited the assembly cut together and Jason wasn't here, we were like, oh man, like we have like some of this doesn't work. Just whether it was because things didn't work or because we were rushing during COVID or whatever the reasons was. And then we're like, all right, well then like, how do we use all the footage we have, and dear God, don't cut anything of Jason, or try to cut as little as possible, because that's like the star, that's the meat. And then how do we write it, and make it so it all kind of makes sense. As we were going through it, I was thinking that meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Charlie's like on the wall and it's like all this crazy stuff, because you're like, how do we keep everything, and Chris was really helpful and just making sure like.
But remember, Jason, I mean, look, I want to say principal photography was done prior to Jason's passing, and he confirms it. And then he says, oh, well, we still have reshoots after that.
Don't lose the story. Don't lose the message. Maybe we just have to change this scene a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still, the impact's still there. It's still relevant to when Jason is in this scene talking about that, and how do we like keep it to, what it is. So Chris has just been, I can't say enough good things about Chris. He's just
He sounds like a good guy. He really great sounds guy. Like a good guy. He sounds like a creative. He sounds like, he doesn't sound like your typical producer is what.
I don't know about that, Juice. I mean, I don't know Chris J, man. Like Chris J, hopefully you figure it out sooner than later. All right, now we got to go to 48, and then I think we'll be into some good stuff after that. Because Juicebox tries to nail him down on the budget, and Aaron just agrees. He just agrees. Like, yeah, I can see how some things could go this way or that way.
And going with that, I mean, writers and producers is like, hey.
I'm like, all right, I trust Ben with my life. I mean, so.
I mean, that's usually the connection that I see a lot of times with writers and
hell yeah, dog. You got to trust the guy paying your bills.
And producers is like, hey, like I trust this guy with my life and I know he has the best interest at heart,
Yeah.
Okay. And going with that, I mean, you mentioned budget really quick. I mean, you mentioned 10% of it went to COVID, correct?
Yeah. So
it's costs with COVID. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was, just to kind of go a little bit over the budget. So we raised, $500,000 on the Kickstarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that breaks down to like 25, a little more than 25% actually. That goes to the Kickstarter fees, which I think are like 5 or 7%.
Now they're 5 or 7%. Remember previously. That 5 or 7% was never mentioned until I pointed it out. Like Aaron is watching the content. He's watching it live. He's literally probably like, I told some people like, hey, Damien, once you go on the record, he's going to be hitting you up or whatever. Like, yeah, whatever. I just let him know. And the same thing with Paul, but I don't think Aaron still talks to Paul.
Or 3%. Somewhere around there. Then you have the taxes on what you raise, which is a lot, especially because.
So do they take out for taxes? Because I've never done a Kickstarter movie, so mm-hmm. I've never heard of. So they take out for taxes 100%. Like you don't have to worry about that.
So what happens is that it becomes kind of.
Yo, Juicebox. Hey, so they take out taxes, so you don't have to worry about that. You have to give it up for Juicebox for getting him to go on record and talk about the money, right? Because Aaron does not seem confident about what goes in and what coming out. You're like, well, he's like this, like, bro, yes or no?
Kind of interesting because you have the taxes, but you got to pay the taxes because you're getting this lump sum in there. Now, a lot of that you can write off, obviously, but some of it still falls under there. So the taxes, while can take out a lot if you handle things correctly.
Bro, did they take out taxes or not, dog? Like, see me, I'm like, hey, did Kickstarter take out taxes? I'm just looking for a yes or no. That's yes or no. Yes, they did, or no, they did not.
It's not as bad. It's like you can get through it. Like, that's why I'm like, fees and taxes are there. They're gonna hit you. If you don't know how to, if you don't have an entertainment
background
accountant and do all sorts of stuff, it can be. I recommend having one. The biggest
who's your entertainment accountant? That would have been like, hey, who's your entertainment accountant? Can you tell me offline? Maybe I want to reach out to him. And then he'd be like, oh, well, they don't want me to give it out. Bro, you gotta like fucking nail them down, dog.
The biggest thing that happens though is the rewards. The rewards is really what the rewards is like everything, because normally like when you do like a Kickstarter for a book, the money goes to the book. So the money it's really easy. Whereas here, the money has to go to the rewards, but then also the movie. So there's really like, originally we planned it was like 25%, but it was way more. It's actually like so much more went to the rewards just because we offered a lot of rewards. We wanted to be you look at some Kickstarter campaigns and they're really bare, and we wanted to be like, we want to have like, all this kind of stuff. So then you have.
I looked at the rewards. A lot of them were like, "Hey, you take home a helmet from set.
Yeah.
You take home, you get to be on set if you were like one of the high 1% people and whatnot." And I mean,
T-shirts, posters,
Guys, if you're a part of the Kickstarter and you have not gotten your award or your award is in danger, please contact me via email, henryresilient@gmail.com. Do it. Thank you.
That's the Kickstarter money, but I just mean like that's overall.
No, I was getting that. So then after that, so then Chris came on and put a certain amount of money in, and then we were like, well, now we got to shoot, and we couldn't shoot without the COVID protocol being in place. So then the money that we then.
So I mean, at this point, I would have been like, hey, so you did have permission to shoot during COVID. Can you just like confirm that? And then I would have railroaded him where he was at like panels talking like, yeah, we couldn't do it because of COVID. I want to say he said that. Don't quote me. I really got to go back and find those panels.
Between we raised on Kickstarter and then what Chris put in, 10% of that went to COVID protection.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
And then.
So 10% of what Chris put in went to COVID protection. Try to follow these numbers, guys. Try to follow them. Be like, yo, can we see a copy of the balance sheet? That's what I'll be like. Hey, can I just see the copy of the balance sheet? Hey, balance sheet. Can I get a copy? I'm sure he'll be like, nope. But at least it would make you have something to go off of, right? Because like if a guy is lying, you just have him put it in writing. Hey, can you put that in writing for me so I can reference it later? Okay.
Kickstarter. And then what Chris put in, 10% of that went to COVID protection.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
And then after Jason passed, we went back and shot a whole bunch more. That was not affected by COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was saying. So it was 10% of a certain part of the budget, not all of it. That'd be false information or misrepresentation.
No, that's why I wanted
false information or misrepresentation, bro. Buzzword king out here, dog. God damn, KOU. Aaron's directing style stuck after this interview finance discussion. He talks as if he is of the tail wagging the dog mindset, but his style really is the opposite. That if the dog doesn't know what it wants, and the tail does, let it fucking wag. Yo. KOU, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, KOU.
To make sure, because I don't want anyone to basically clip it and then like maybe tell like a portion, because 10% is quite a lot, because I'm the financial person in this 3-0 right now. So I'm kind of like opening my eyes where I was like, oh my God, that's $200,000 to $400,000. Like, what are we doing here? So that's why I wanted to ask that question straight out and be as honest as possible, where I was like, did you just say 10%? Because that's 200,000 to 400, So it wasn't 10% of the overall. It was just the Kickstarter, or
The Kickstarter and
okay.
when Chris put funding in before Jason passed.
Wait, dog, you literally just said it was the 10% was just what Chris put in. Sorry, I got to do this. Because he doesn't know, guys. Does this seem confident to you? He's biting his lip, making up these answers as they go. Let's zoom in. Let's put on our listening ears. I really should have had a goddamn transcript up. All right, let me pull up the transcript as he talks so I can read it.
So there's really originally we planned that it was like 25%, but it was way more. It's actually like so much more went to the rewards just because we offered a lot of rewards. We wanted to be you look at some Kickstarter campaigns and they're really bare, and we want to be we want to have all this kind of stuff. So then you have.
I looked at the rewards. A lot of them were like, "Hey, you take home a helmet from set."
Yeah.
Bro, he probably think he was cooking in this interview. Aaron thought he was cooking. Like, yeah, this was going to show Henry.
You take home, you get to be on set if you were like one of the high 1% people and whatnot. And I mean, yeah, that takes
posters, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Kickstarter money, but I just mean like that's overall.
No, I was getting that. So then after that. So then Chris came on and put a certain amount of money in, and then we were like, well, now we got to shoot, and we couldn't shoot without the COVID protocol being in place. So then the money that we raised on Kickstarter, and then what Chris put in, 10% of that went to COVID protection.
Got it. Right. Okay.
And
make sure
we raised on Kickstarter, and then what Chris put in, 10% of that.
So if I'm not mistaken, that's 10% of the entire budget, right? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm getting OCD, but I'm like, when you see the hands up, I'm like,
COVID protection.
Got it. Right. Okay.
And then after Jason passed, we went back and shot a whole bunch more. That was not affected by COVID. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was saying. So it was 10% of a certain part of the budget, not all of it.
All right. Am I tripping? All right, maybe I'm tripping. All right, here we go. Let's hear her out real quick. Just let me know. Just like, hey, Henry, you tripping? Move on.
Money in, and then we were like, well, now we got to shoot, and we couldn't shoot without the COVID protocol being in place. So then the money that we raised on Kickstarter, and then what Chris put in, 10% of that went to COVID protection.
Raised on Kickstarter, and Chris put in 10% of that went to COVID protection.
Got it. Right. Okay.
And then after Jason passed, we went back and shot a whole bunch more. That was not affected by COVID. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was saying. So it was 10% of a certain part of the budget, not all of it. That'd be false information or misrepresentation.
No. That's why I wanted to make sure, because I don't want anyone to basically clip it and then like maybe tell like a portion, because 10% is quite a lot, because I'm the financial person in this 3-0 right now. So I'm kind of like opening my eyes, where I was like, oh my God, that's $200,000 to $400,000. Like, what are we doing here? $200,000
to $400,000 at 10% will put the budget at $4 million.
So that's why I wanted to ask that question straight out and be as honest as possible, where I was like, did you just say 10%? Because that's 200,000 to 400, So it wasn't 10% of the overall. It was just the Kickstarter, or
the Kickstarter and when Chris put funding in before Jason passed, because we shot during COVID. When Jason passed, then we didn't shoot during COVID. Although we did have to get. We had to get a lot of signatures that allowed us to shoot, because even still you couldn't shoot after Jason passed. SAG was kind of locked down for like 3 or 4 years there.
All right, so there he goes, guys. He literally just confirmed that he had permission to film during the strike. And look, man, I got to go back to the panel interviews.
3.
I got to go find the panel interviews that he has no control over, where he talks about. If you guys could find it, I emailed you. I still have not received my perks. No, Pirate Bill. Not one of my own have not received their fucking perks. Are you shitting me? Not Pirate Bill. Hold on. I'll stop the stream for Pirate Bill. Give me a second. Let me get up in my goddamn email. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure your perks should have been given. Hold on. Let's see. Include digital download, series and film, digital download, original sound, script, poster, name and the credits. Okay. Here's the thing, Pyro Bill. I understand you haven't gotten your stuff yet. But because it's a digital download of the film, there's still time to do it. Digital download of the soundtrack, he's going to say it's still sound mixing. Digital download of the script, he's going to say he doesn't want to spoil it. Digital download of the poster, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Name in the credits, we got to wait till the movie come out. 6 phone digital backgrounds. I am in the Kickstarter. I do know that was delivered. I do have access to the Kickstarter. All right. So we gotta wait. But you almost look, y'all screw over Pirate Bill, I will go scorched earth. So just give us some time. But after that movie drop, if you don't get your perks, let me know.
We had to get a lot of signatures that allowed us to shoot, because even still you couldn't shoot after Jason passed. SAG was kind of locked down for like 3 or 4 years there, three and a half years.
Okay, so about a little bit more than 50 grand in order to do the COVID stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so going with the budget, I mean, what are we looking at? Like, just so the people will understand, because we're talking multi-million dollars. So I mean,
Yes.
Obviously 50% is going to bat in the sun. So
Look, I love that he nails them down on this, right? And before we get to it, here we go, guys. Shout out to my sources. Aaron, guys, I can explain. Bat in the Sun Actor 1. You take the money and holy snap, they are putting in facts in this meme. And I only got paid 400. Bat in the Sun to Actor 2. 400. I only got 100 a day. Bat in the Sun Actor 3. You guys are getting paid? Holy shit. Oh my God.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is one of my sources, by the way. A lot of my sources are hitting me up live in real time. In real time. Oh, in real time. Oh. And and we have a correction to make, guys. According to my another source, this was the last Bat in the Sun beatdown. 27, which is this in the playlist? This is 26. Okay. This is 27. I don't like playing their stuff, dude. I just don't. This was $50,000 to $70,000. Nikolai, dog. They said they made $50,000 to $70,000 for this one. How much did you see of that, Nikolai? You don't see no one else anymore. No other host. Just Aaron talking. Let's look at the credits. Let's look at the credits for a second.
And this is Superpower Beatdown.
Okay, Green Ranger original music. So we got what? Created by, directed by Nikolai, Chris J. Bro, Chris J, you produced this? Oh no, Chris, they got you. They got you, dog. Oh no. Oh man. Oh, hate to see it, man. Hate to see it. I hate to see it, dog. 50 to 70, what was it, 50,000? Jesus Christ, man. Aaron, hey, Chris J, do yourself a favor. Audit the books. Audit the books.
I know that doesn't mean Aaron. Let's get that out of the way because I know.
All right, Juicebox, go ahead. Do your thing, baby. Do your thing. Man, where Juicebox at, man?
Dollars. So, I mean,
Yes.
obviously 50% is going to Bat in the Sun. So I know that doesn't mean Aaron. Let's get that out of the way because I know people are going to be looking at it and being like, Aaron is Bat in the Sun. You made it actually very clear at the beginning that around 20 to 30 people is Bat in the Sun.
Yeah, it's funny because, and I guess some people don't know or don't understand or just aren't familiar with it, which makes sense. I can see how it's very confusing because I'll post a lot. I mean, I post a lot on the pages along with a few other people.
Like Juicebox, you should have asked him why he deletes those live streams where he breaks down one and a half. I would have been like, hey, dog, why you delete those live streams? Why we got to go to Henry to get the updates?
But it's mainly me. But like, there's me personally, Aaron, as an individual.
Yeah.
But then there's also like Bat in the Sun LLC, and like basically like the money has to go there to go to people so that they can give them 1099s or so forth.
Exactly.
And with this film, the film actually got so big that we had to create a whole new LLC. We had to create the White Dragon LLC because it had to shift. At the beginning, it was Bat in the Sun, and then it had to shift up to the White Dragon LLC because Chris and Jason and me and my dad
I didn't know Henry was this big.
Partners. So we wanted to make sure that the money was all like basically very just open to everyone because Chris is putting in money.
Exactly.
So we created a new LLC. So essentially it went to White Dragon. Originally though, I think where a lot of people get confused is when you do most Kickstarters in this sort of sense, yes, 50% has to go just to being able to for production. That's like building sets, building costumes, catering.
Bro, I wonder what the catering was like, dog. The reason why Aaron Schoenke like thrives is because people who worked on Bat in the Sun don't want to speak up and be like, what the hell is he talking about? This ain't happened.
Makeup, renting equipment, paying your crew. Like there's so much stuff that has to go through that. I'm actually even surprised that percentage shouldn't be higher for how much is needed.
What? Wait. 50% shouldn't be higher? Oh my gosh, man.
Aaron, one more. Greed.
Making a feature film of this magnitude is crazy. Originally, I think Jason wanted to set the first goal at 250,000 to make a feature.
Yeah. Now, what he's trying to do is go to referencing the audio.
Aaron, one more. Greed. Originally, I wanted to do 250,000, but Aaron, one more. Greed.
Okay, and that greed stuff. And he's actually about to explain why he wanted more and needed more and all this other good stuff.
I was like, there's no way. I was like, we can't. The movie that we want to make, we can't do that. I mean, like, look at Dying is Easy. We raised 77,000. I put in a ton of money.
All right, now let's go to Dying is Easy. I actually had the Indiegogo up. Dying is Easy. I believe they raised 77,000 Indiegogo, and it was 26 minutes. Right? Indiegogo, right? Let me make sure. All right, so here's something for perspective, guys, that you should probably just think about, right? So here is the Dying is Easy budget, right? 77,000 raised by 2,500 backers. Okay, so you see this in mind, and you're like, okay, 77,000. And you have to look at something, right? You're like, well, how long is Dying is Easy, right? Dying is Easy YouTube, right? So you have, guys, look at this, right? So you'd be like, well, Jason's math is not off. It's not off, right? You're like, well, look, Dying is Easy. It's 25 minutes. Is it 25? Is it a full 25? It's not even a full 25. It is 21 minutes, roughly, right? And you're like, well, we raised 77,000 for 21 minutes. And let's just say this, right? 21 minutes for 77,000. But we know it's a feature film. Feature film is what, hour and 30? So we're talking 120. Sorry, give me a second. Hold on, I got a super chat. Let me acknowledge the super chat. Drew's face is priceless. I'll have to check it out to see it. So think about this. This is simple math. For 21 minutes, let's just say 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Movie is what? About an hour and 20 on a good day. Hour and 20 on a good day. And we're looking at, what's that, 60, 80 minutes. You like 500,000. Why couldn't we produce an hour and 20 minutes? Hour and 90 minutes. 60. Bro, Moses, you tripping, dog. What movies is that long, man? Movies are 90 minutes long for the most part. 90 minutes. Gosh. 90 divided by 20. 4.5 times 77. 1, 2, 3. So he should have been able to do a 90-minute movie for $346,000. If Dying is Easy is a film, and it's 21 minutes, and you raise 77,000, and I think I just used 20 minutes. $500,000 should have been more than enough to do a 90-minute fan film. Remember, 50%, this 25% for fees. I don't know, man. Here, let's do it. Remember, I used to crunch numbers. Can y'all see? Oh, yeah, y'all can see. For a living. And I still do. I got to do like break-even points, cost analysis, going with one product over another. Little mental math or whatever, right? So we got 500,000 times 0.95 because remember, Kickstarter takes 5%. So you have 475,000 times 70%. Let's just say, times 0.7%. 0.7 to take away 30% for taxes. You still at $332,000. And we already established 90 divided by 20. Whoops, sorry. Sorry, guys. 90 divided by 20 times 77, 1, 2, 3, 340. So you lost $20,000 short, man. Okay, Aaron, let's continue.
And that movie is 26 minutes. It's 26 minutes.
Wait, 26? Bro, what the fuck is this? Okay, 26 minutes if you factor in credits and you have a Tatiana Neva end scene. I don't know about this, bruh. I don't know, man. 26 minutes. Where's the disclaimer at the beginning? I think it's a disclaimer. Bad and Son Productions and the following presentation are no way affiliated with DC Warner Brothers. Dying is Easy is a non-profit film and free for all. It's not free. It's non-profit. It's not a non-profit. Here's a good question to ask Aaron. Is Dying Easy monetized? As in collecting money from advertisements? And I'm sure the answer is yes. And there used to be a program I used to have that would let me know what videos were monetized or not. I'll see if I can bring that up.
And you're looking at, over 100,000, probably close to 150. I hate to say that. I hope it's not that much. And that was 26 minutes. And that was basically just two people kind of talking, So I was like, to make this movie that has 5 fight scenes and has all this big stuff, I was like, we're going to need so much more. And when that one failed, he's like, I told you we should have done it for 250. And I was like, well, I don't disagree with you. We should have just done a smaller project.
No, bro. I think if I'm not mistaken, Jason was furious when the first one failed. Furious. With Aaron.
For 250, And so that's when we relaunched the Kickstarter. We had smaller goals for smaller projects, but then the momentum rolled and people were excited, and then we hit the feature.
Okay, so here you go, guys. Now, Bat and Son's channel is monetized. There you go. Go to youtubelarge.com. And then that's how you can find out. But I'm pretty sure I used to have a program that would tell me if specific videos are monetized.
Having said that, even still trying to make the movie for what we raised on the Kickstarter, that would have really never worked. Like that's why I say
half a million would not have been feasible.
It's like 300. It's like 300,000. Like what you're basically left with after you're going to basically pay your crew. You're going to you have your rewards, your fees and taxes, and then you're left with and then you have your COVID protocol. And I was like, you have maybe 300,000 to do all these things, and for some people that might seem like a lot of money, but it's like if you look at like episodes of the CW, like the pilot for.
All right, let me check my notes, my timestamps, because we can go to the suit cost and then we could jump to something else, because what he's about to do is say, oh, Juicebox cooks them. He cooks them right here. Oh, all right, we got to keep this because he cooks them.
Superman and Lois, which was fantastic. I think the pilot was like 11 to 14 million dollars. So it's
that would be because of the WB license, and they're going to get that back in commercials and whatnot, So
it's a little different. The point is that
you see, he got him no, it's expensive because of the license. Guys, if you want to make a Superman show, you pretty much can, but you got to pay the licensing fee. All right. And what Aaron does is using their IP with no licensing fee, and it has been for years. And, and that, the fan film parody, whatever you want to call it, you're still using their IP and you're definitely profiting. I would love for him to say he didn't profit, and, maybe he'll say he didn't. Oh, we lost money on these beatdowns. I had to pay out of my own pocket. Dude, show your fucking AdSense. Show your AdSense on any video. I'll show mine on whatever video y'all want. I can show y'all.
Production wise, we're not like that. I'm just saying that still we're trying to create something as lengthy wise, longer.
I mean, what I would equate to, if you want to do a CW project, to equate it to would be like a Supernatural, where it was, it was their own IP and their own project that they could put their blood, sweat, and tears, and they didn't have to license out the characters from WB, because as with WB, having dealt with WB, I'm assuming is that they're not exactly thrilled to be licensing out without the right, right move,
Yeah.
So what I was going to get at, just for the layman people, like what Aaron was trying to say, because I know it was a lot of information all at once. You want to is it okay if I can go ahead and I can more or less explain to people what a $4 million budget would look like?
Sure.
Okay, so on a typical $4 million.
All right, we don't need him to break down the budget, but here I could show you a video I made that made a decent amount of money, and it only had 200,000 views, and just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, right? So this is on my main channel. This is a video that made roughly $1,000 in AdSense, right? And here's some things to keep in mind why this number is not so high. It was a 6-minute video. It was a 6-minute video. That means only ads at the beginning and ads at the end. This wasn't like these beatdowns where it's like you could throw in manual ads, right? And you're like, well, Henry, this is only $1,000. It's only $1,000 for whatchamacallit. I'm like, yeah, but this is a 6-minute film. Let's just do the math, right? Let's just say $1,000 for 200,000 views, right? So at 1 million views, I'm gonna break it down, divided by 5, or divided by 200,000 times 1,000. Let's just say he was making $5,000 per million views, right? This is very low. I know it's higher because he had breaks in between, right? So you go to Bat and Sun, you're like, okay, all right. When you go to these videos, and sure, the rates are different. I think back then it used to be 8 million. So you look at these millions of views and you're like, wait, on the low end, 5,000 times 34 million for Wolverine and Predator. You like, wait. Times 34. You like, wait, Henry. You mean $170,000 on this video? You mean that in AdSense? I don't know. I can't say for sure. I know it's over the threshold. I showed you what I made for 200,000 views on a video with no ads, that met the threshold. You like, wait, something is up. Something is up. You like, okay, well, what about Domino versus Harley Quinn? You like, okay, well, Domino versus Harley Quinn. Now, granted, these are current rates, but like I said, I'm sure these videos that are monetized have ad breaks and like built-in ad breaks. You're like, okay, 5,000 for a million views times 28 million, right? You like, wait, Henry, is he making over $100,000 per beatdown? I don't know. I never saw his AdSense, and people are gonna be like, yeah, I never saw it either. In fact, I didn't even know he was making money. Let that fucking shit sink in.
$1 million budget.
They actually get 13. I can actually pull it. I can pull up Duke Dennis saying, I'll pull it up.
Drew, you can step in just to kind of give your thoughts too, as having worked on movies and having worked on your Alien script and whatnot. So typically you want to give like 5% of the budget, which if we're looking at 4 million is about
is there a lot of money?
That would be for development.
All right, guys, look, man, I'm a YouTuber, and one thing I'm always doing is pocket watching. Here's Duke Dennis.
To be made in YouTube.
Yeah, if you get 1 million views, that's like 13 to like 20 bands.
When you see
13 to 20 bands,
a video with 10 million views, do the math on it. Yeah. Somebody might have made 100K for that.
Depending, yeah.
That's a pretty wide range. What makes it somewhere on the lower end of 13 versus somewhere on the higher end like 20?
Watch time and CPM, cents per minute. If you have a 20-minute video, you can put multiple ad breaks in the YouTube video. And watch time comes into play because if the video is 20 minutes and they watch 10 minutes, if you had 2 ad breaks before the 10-minute mark, then they hit those 2, maybe. But then it's still more left in the video. So that's why like the 13 to 20 is. Because like if they watch 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then they only hit half of
the ads. I see.
You can make money off the video, but if you get a brand deal like attached to that video, now
like a Loot Crate sponsorship, like wait, this video is brought to you by Loot Crate. Like what? Come on, man.
Making people uncomfortable with his fucking memes and his trolling.
Now, let that sink in. Now, I hope all you Bat in the Sun loyalists, the people who working for free, you look at Duke Dennis who break it down the money and say, oh, yeah, that is crazy. You look at all these mules, you like, wait, Henry, I was only paid $100 a day. And I was told to do it for passion. Oh, $100 a day. Like, bro, I would have grilled his ass on AdSense. Like, yo, you get AdSense off that shit? I would have, look, man, shout out to Juicebox, man.
Development and pre-production, you know? So that would be, your scripts. That would be your casting director.
All right, he's just going over the budget. Not too much meat there. Hold on. I got chapters, guys. I got chapters. Let's hear him talk about the goddamn suit. Oh man, I have to go through these clips and find where it's like, oh yeah, this suit was $30,000 and it took a year to make.
I wasn't, because people that don't work on it, they can't fathom. I saw. Yeah, there's certain things that I would say could go a couple different.
A $4 million movie, so you would agree that's about what it takes, right, Aaron?
That was close. Yeah, there's certain things that I would say could go a couple different ways.
Yeah.
You know, I think what's important to know is because people that don't work on it, they can't fathom. You know, I saw
Yeah.
they released on
Big Millie.
Wolverine Deadpool.
Is there a lot of money to be?
They
Yeah.
said that one of Hugh Jackman's outfits cost $100,000 to make. I think it's
Bro, you always compare yourself to the big leagues. Like, oh, this cost that much to justify his things. But I'm just like, bro.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of people like lose their mind. They're like, what? Like I could have made that in cosplay for $500. And my reaction, having worked with costumes, I was like, that only cost $100,000. I'm like, you're talking about to just make it. I was like, you're not talking about the 3D scans you did of him, how much you had to pay Hugh Jackman to come in for those days. I was like, to make that outfit was like was millions of dollars. You know, and I think sometimes people can't fathom, like, well, why? And I'm like, I don't know if you've ever seen these suits up close, but they are immaculate and they have to survive stunts and they have to make like 20 of them.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's understandable that people are like, well, why would it cost so much? I'm like, these suits are amazing and they're durable and they're flexible. And what I would say to that is like, you know, a lot of the locations, even locations that we used in Dying is Easy. Some of these locations, when you're using union and you have insurance and you have all these things.
Hey, bro, was Dying as Easy? Is that a union production? I would have stopped it right there. Was that a union production? I want to know which one were union, which were not. Hey, is Dying Easy a union production? Was that SAG?
I mean, you're spending 10 to 12 to 15, maybe more grand a day on just the location.
Like, how much was the location for the bottling company? Was that 10 grand? Like, I would love to see the Ninjak budget to see how much they got charged for the bottling company. I would love to see that.
You know, that's not including your crew, you know, so you're walking away. So sometimes you'll have some days, which, you know, hopefully everything looks great on those days and the footage looks great, but you'd be like, with like all the talent that was there and the crew, the render equipment, you'd be like, we spent $55,000 today in one day. You're like, that's crazy. But, you know, but then you hear on big movie sets like Marvel, they're like, oh, they're spending $3 million a day. And you're just like, oof. But then you watch and you're like,
$3 million a day. It better be. I mean, but Marvel, they putting in 200 million.
well,
and I don't think half is going to production, right? You got Robert Downey Jr. Taking the lion's share.
That makes sense because there's so many working parts. Like you said, it's like a watch. It's all these gears, and it just you just look at these numbers and you're just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's a lot to take in, especially.
Right. I don't think Aaron ever saw these numbers though.
When you're like a layman and you're just like dealing with looking at $4 million and then how to split it. I mean,
I like how Juicebox kept saying $4 million because I think that was the budget, right, for Legend of the White Dragon. He doesn't say, oh, it wasn't 4 million or less, right? Does he say that during the interview? Like I said, I only got to watch it once.
I mean, even 250,000. You know, you mentioned, oh, that's not a lot. It's, you know, for some people, they won't see 250,000, you know, in front of them. You know, so I get them as well. You know that, you know, you're thinking, oh my God, like Aaron, I could have made that in like with 250,000. I could have done that with 5,000.
He did. He said he could make a kick-ass movie for $500,000. He said it. I put it in that he was going to work for free in the first Kickstarter. So how did it go from that to, hey, we need $1 million. We need this much money for it. So I was like, I tried to point it out, but like I could point it out, but sometimes I'm just like, for better or worse, dog, I'm talking to myself. I literally like, yo, he just said in this video right here.
The graphics look amazing.
Right? I mean, the dude is glazing right here. He just said right here, remember this video? Whoops. Whoops. That was behind the scenes. Thank goodness. Nothing crazy was on there.
It looks really, really well done. Now, this is a Kickstarter project.
Correct. It was a Kickstarter.
You want to inform us a little bit about how people can find the Kickstarter project? Or even fund it and some of the things that you guys are...
Yeah, if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, basically what it is, we open up to the fans because we want to kind of, basically, it cuts out the studio. So it allows us to deliver exactly what we want to do and what the fans want to do. And if you just basically look up Kickstarter, and the name of the project is Legend of the White Dragon, if you go on there, you can contribute, donate to the project. And basically, it's almost like pre-ordering the movie, like a bunch of pre-sales, right? So we have different rewards on there. And whatever one you select, that money.
Not emo Aaron. No, this is Aaron from the Kyle Higgins comic book. His influence is being felt.
Money goes to the project. 100% whatever is contributed goes to the project. Now, the four of us, we obviously put up the time, the funding for the teaser, and we've already set aside money, and obviously going to work for free, obviously.
I love how he says it so matter-of-factly.
Aaron wanted more. Greed.
On making the project happen, but to make the film as epic as it needs to be and as good as it needs to be, because we don't want to do like a half-ass version of it. We have to raise $500,000 and then combine with what we're putting into it, then it can really be what it deserves to be, what the project deserves to be.
Now, I'm sure at this point there was no Chris J offering $3.5 million or whatever. So you like, dog, where did that shit go? Where is this Aaron at? He's like, well, he's always been there, Henry, just hiding.
But obviously, once you part, that's why I wanted to go over the figures and really let the people know, like, hey, this is what it takes to make a $4 million movie. It might not be in the case.
I think Aaron got so comfortable he just never corrected Juicebox. Like, damn, because that's probably the budget, right? $4 million. It's not 2.
Bat in the sun, but as you can see, this is what is the inner workings of a movie. Yeah, you really have to think about it. So that's why even when I was hearing 10%, I was just like, ooh, that concerns me, because 10%.
Oh, this is where Juicebox starts adding up the percentages. If I'm not mistaken, he starts to be like, well, this doesn't quite get the 50%, Aaron. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, man. Shout out to Juicebox, man. Hopefully you still here.
That could have gone to develop.
Yo, Dust is dying, man.
It's fuck Dust for life. So this is about Dust being an asshole. And he got nothing else better to do than to troll people and cause real problems.
Hopefully you feel better, Doc. I'm sick too. Don't worry. I'm streaming, but I'm sick.
In post-production. And then I was just like, okay, no, that's more feasible. 50,000 or a little bit more than 50,000 is feasible for something like this.
It's a lot. And the people that we have working, they're all industry professionals. Like I said, I mean, our color corrector, he does a lot of really big stuff for Amazon. He does like the new Star Wars animated show. He does like a bunch of stuff. And our sound mixer, he just finished a film with Jamie Foxx. He's doing all kinds of stuff. So these aren't like, oh, you just grab some friend. I'm like, we go.
Yo, Drew just like, this smell like some bullshit, dog. He like, this smell like some bullshit, man. What the hell is this, Aaron?
To the big studios, and we sit in that's why I film. I put all that stuff online. I'm like, where are these big studios? Like, we're trying to make this film as best as possible, but it's not cheap. People do like to give friend help a little bit of rates, like a little bit, but these are working people that can take bigger jobs if they want to. And sometimes you got to like, well, they're free in a week, so we have to wait a little bit because they're here. So there's a lot of, it's not just like, we'll go in today and do it. And I was like, well, it's definitely not that simple, because
even the big movies, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, Chris came in, and was like, I'll give you the best friend rate for me, because, and that's why Ryan Reynolds made all those jokes of, we can't afford him for even a second more, and that's what it is what Aaron is talking about, is that, there's regular rates and then there's the friend rates, that actually would come to making a movie, because like I said, usually in a production, the director takes far less than even the lead actor,
Mm-hmm. Yes. And yes.
Not in this case.
I was going to say, guys, or the percentage deal Jack Nicholson did. Yeah. If you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah, with Batman.
Yeah, with 89 Batman, where he said, don't pay me this, just give me the percentage, the box office, merchandising, and he did it that way, and that was another way.
And I believe he brings up Street Fighter, and I'm pretty sure I showed a text message where Jason was like, yo, I took $15,000 for that.
To do things.
I didn't just put it in there or something.
And that's kind of what me and Jason were hoping with this. We just put really everything into the project and hope that it would, that's how me and Jason always operated. Like when we did Power Rangers versus Street Fighter, the budget for that, I believe it was under 110,000. I think it was like 106 or 107, somewhere around there. But we both agreed at the beginning to be like, let's not take a cut. Let's just put it all into the movie because we want this to be great. You know?
I think he was like, I only took 15,000 or something.
You know what I'm saying? So
I have to go through all my stuff.
We just went all in, and you want to make it as look because you want it to last. You want it to look great. Like I look back on that, and I'm really proud of that. It looks really, really good. But I would say to people, I go, look at the quality of that. You know, I think it's good quality. But that, I don't know how long it's like 8 minutes. I'm like that 8 minutes costs $100,000. And I go, so you know, and that was everyone doing the friend rate. That was only like 5 days of shooting. That was, you know, it was a lot of long days. Like that should have been when White Dragon got as big as it did. Then yes.
Okay, so
not me personally. We have
effects.
That would not include the
for not only the director because obviously he's director.
Hold on.
You know, even me, I scratch my head a little bit because I'm clarify it for people. When you say 50%, because when I look at 50%, you know, even me, I scratch my head a little bit because I'm thinking, and you might be incorporating everything, you know? So just to be crystal clear with people, the 50% means he's taking for not only the director, because obviously he's director, but he's thinking the above the line talent stuff. Because I'm assuming that's not taking into account the actors and stuff like that, right?
No, that would not include the actors. No.
Okay.
Right.
So that's why we asked.
Right.
So
look,
that
guys,
would
50% does not include actor salary.
Would include the visual effects. Like because you're the production house,
bro. You think Nikolai? How much Nikolai make off this movie?
You're doing all of the visual effects, right?
Mm-hmm. Like not me, not me personally. We have a visual effects team that does it, but yeah.
But you're not outsourcing, right?
No,
you're not out the visual.
It's just Nikolai.
Visual effects.
So with the original Kickstarter plan, no. When White Dragon got as big as it did, then yes.
Okay, so. Yeah, we'll go ahead.
And just to clarify, the 25, 25, 50, when it's like 50% goes to Bat in the Sun, 25% goes to talent, 25% goes to the rewards, the fees and taxes. That was the proposed Kickstarter budget because that falls under a different parameter. Because obviously when an investor comes in, you don't have fees, you don't have that sort of stuff. And ultimately that 50% would get so much bigger because that has to go to like so much more production, which is what you want because on most movies that percentage is much higher. But then we formed the White Dragon LLC, and then it went to because it's just a bigger project. Like when me and Jason talked about our original Kickstarter, it was much smaller. This film got enormous.
Hold on, there was somebody that said something.
That's wait. So at the beginning, he said that it was verbal between him and Jason.
Okay, all right, we ain't got that yet.
No, for sure, and that's why I wanted to make people that's why I kind of wanted to let people know because you know when you say Bat in the Sun needs 50%, number one, we've already established Bat in the Sun is not Aaron.
Bro, it's the company, right? Like so. How much did Aaron pay himself for editing the movie? How much did he pay himself for directing the movie? I'm sure. How much did he pay his dad for sound? How much did he pay Nikolai for visual effects? You have to think about that. And I know earlier, like put it on the screen, like he must have just went through like some of my videos before he did this.
The whole gear.
The production company.
Exactly. So that's why I want to break it down to people a little bit more, just so that they're more understanding. Because now that I'm hearing the numbers, it puts my mind at ease because I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's what Aaron means. Because I think, like I said, this is why we're making this video. Is Aaron is, and I'm not saying this as an insult. Please don't take it as an insult. It's like Kevin Smith again going, Prince is living in Prince land for a long time, where Prince is not thinking about the outside world and how the world perceives Prince.
Right.
So we want to let the world understand Aaron because I think that's what's missing. So we're looking at post-production for the movie.
All right, he's about to say it doesn't add to 50%. It should be noted that Jack Nicholson's Batman deal, he was in his Citizen Kane era after a well-established career. Not sure I'd be citing someone like that on how we should handle cuts from a crowdfunded fan. I believe I maybe we got to it, but he talks about, we were going to recoup everything from the toy sales or whatever. I wonder what that toy sale deal looked like. Like I said, I only got to listen to this once, and I'm probably going to have to dissect it again. And I'm sure Juicebox is probably going to have to go through it again. But once we get through it, we'll bring up Juicebox and he can actually talk about this.
That's going to be also under Bat in the Sun, so people will understand. Mark, and are we also doing marketing and distribution then? Like you're doing like the social media campaigns, the trailers, the website, and all of that.
Bro, I don't know about that, man. I really think it's going to be like a direct to Netflix film for sale. And that's how they're going to try to recoup it before it like ultimately lands on like Tubi or something.
Like
on the original, the proposed Kickstarter budget did not include any of those things because we needed to use as much of that money to make the movie. Because like I said, me and Jason's original kind of argument was that we need more money to make the movie. Otherwise we can't do it.
It's just like Dinesh said, put it in the movie.
Which is what we always do.
Yes.
And I was like,
like Dinesh said, put it in the movie. Oh, Juicebox.
Can't make a feature for this. And that's where we kind of got into that little back and forth. But when Chris came on and the money was different, more like a normal movie now, then yes, it opened up to now you have stuff for trailers, for advertising and that sort of stuff.
Okay. So that makes.
But I don't think they ran any trailers. They just created a trailer. Like when the movie come out, right? We're at June. He's saying it's still coming out this year, right? One, I don't think any streaming service is going to buy it. They're not buying that shit. I would be really surprised. I know Netflix is out. You're like, well, you don't know that for sure. They didn't see the whole movie, bro. Your name, Aaron, you have a reputation. Some people call you fan film, Aaron. Some people call you stay away. But I can tell you for sure, Netflix, HBO, Hulu. I'll just stop there.
Because now we're dealing with around 30% of the budget, and I'm just adding it up so people understand this is what Aaron means by Bat in the Sun needs 50%. Right. I mean, just right there, from usually what it takes to make a movie, you've already got 30% right there. And then, then you've got, you want the bulk to go into production, as you said. So, definitely.
Put it on screen.
Yeah,
put it on the screen.
Exactly.
Look, he's quoting Dinesh. Put it on the screen. Put it on the screen.
And then we're not accounting for. So you didn't cast or anything like that, right? Like you just invited friends of Jason and yours to be in the movie, right?
Yeah, we never had a casting director, no.
Okay, and it was just you and Jason for 10 years writing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So.
Yeah, so that saved us money. With that we didn't have to give that money to anyone, which was good. We could just put it back in the film.
No, not an IPTV release, dog. That's a hack. Only hackers know what that is.
No, for sure. And so then that would just lead the development and the pre-production and stuff like that. I mean, still, that's where I'm wondering, like, that for the 50%, I'm just wondering what the other stuff is, because I mean, the bulk of it would be the production, like I'm getting close to 50%, but not 50%,
we have to
you see him? Hey, I'm getting close to 50%, but it's not really adding up to 50%. Where's everything else at?
All the crew members.
No, that's also part of the production cost. Like we're just making it so people understand,
Right. Are you trying to say what else goes in that 50%?
Yeah.
Well, costumes. Costumes are very, and set building.
Okay. So you mentioned that 300,000 went towards 30,000 went towards the costumes before?
I think one of those dragon outfits was over $30,000, just one of them.
Oh, so that was just one of them. Okay.
I think so, yeah. And then, that doesn't include.
Like, why did you delete that clip? I'm like, hey, yeah, that clip came out on Henry's channel. Why'd you delete it? Like, I've just been like, hey, why'd you delete that clip?
Like the 14 fittings that we did.
Yeah.
To pay the people, for all their time. So yeah, I think it was, and that's just one of the outfits, because then you have to bring on a costume person and they have to make a bunch of outfits.
Okay, so how many of the costumes did they make, if you don't mind me asking?
There was a lot because you have. I don't want to name certain characters because I might get spoilers, but there.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to name characters.
Hey, Ninja, how many costumes? I need a fucking number, dog.
It's just like. It's just
1 through 10, 10 through 20. Give me a number, dog.
Just a ballpark figure, like maybe like 20 suits.
I don't think that many. But they were expensive though. I mean, definitely. Definitely over.
I think he ends up whittling down to like it was just 2 suits and we had seamstress on sets. I was just like, what?
$100,000 was spent alone in just costumes or more. I'd have to check in. I'd have to really look at these numbers and have them in front of me. But I know they were not cheap, but they look great though. Like our team did an amazing job.
No, but
yeah, how many, dog? Thank you, Juicebox, for staying on focus. Like, yo, but how many?
I just mean the white. How much is a white dragon suit? Because I'm assuming people are thinking that's what the 30,000 cost. Is just one white dragon suit.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong. I have to look at the actual invoice. I think for the suit and the helmet, I want to say that it was around $42,000, which people might be like, that's crazy. We only had the one white dragon suit and only one dragon prime suit, so they had to be really durable.
So you didn't have like a stunt suit or a backup suit or anything like that?
No, we just had one and one suit.
Okay, and then so then we've got multiple characters, almost like Jason Bonds and all of them, and they were 30,000 as well.
No. There's like another character in the film that has a really elaborate outfit. Okay. And then other people have kind of like they're like more of a monk.
So now we're looking at 2 suits, man. It's 2 suits, and I think you're just naming out values, dog. It is what it is. You believe him or you not. That you guys have to determine if he's credible or not.
Type outfits, those are not as expensive. Those are much less.
Okay. I mean, definitely we can update the video if need be, but I mean, 45,000 for a Legend of the White Dragon suit doesn't seem outlandish because I mean, Batman suit, the Ben Affleck one cost $100,000,
That was $100,000 once again to make, not $100,000. It was $1 million to do all the fittings and the laser scanning and all that sort of stuff, just to produce the suits once they had gone through all those. Because they molded like I think 7 different cows to fit. Yeah. That's all part of their production cost. So once they could just bang them out, we had to kind of put all that together. But I don't know if this is helping. I mean, if I can help piece in different things.
Drew?
Yeah. So with the suits, you guys just had the 2 suits, the Dragon Prime and then the White Dragon, and you guys didn't do duplicates. So that meant you had to do repairs if anything did happen to it right there,
Correct,
when it happened, and then put it back together and then start filming again and kind of do it like that.
Okay. Yeah, we had 2 seamstresses on set all the time in case anything happened.
Gotcha.
And things happened.
I imagine, it usually does. What about the suits like the armored suit Jason was wearing before he gets the White Dragon suit?
All right, we're gonna skip to the budget part or the Dinesh stuff. I think it starts at 136. Juicebox, phenomenal job, dog. Phenomenal job. I believe it's like 130 something where he starts talking about the messages. Hold on, let me make sure. Messages. Right here. Here we go.
I have a few favorite characters in the movie, and Mark is like one of them.
I mean, you mentioned the leaks and whatnot, those leaked messages. I mean, do you have any comment on those? I mean, we're not trying to blast you or anything, but I mean, just so that people know that you are aware of what's going on, and this is your chance to really address stuff and really put it to rest. Because I mean, you put a lot to rest today. I feel. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say did you have like specific questions about them? I know that there are leaks or different like an audio message out there, and I keep up with it a little bit. I have, like I said, we have someone that's kind of monitoring that they'll send me information or fans reach out and question.
I guess the first one would be the Dinesh one. So that is 100% Dinesh, correct?
Yeah,
bro. Okay. You got fans who monitor me, dog. Shut the hell up, dog. You monitor me, dog. You probably watching right now, dog. Don't be talking about, we got people who monitor. I'm too above Henry's channel, dog. Shut up, man. Like, bro, I know you watching.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Oh, God, dog. It's just too much. Trust me, dog. I know you're watching live. I got proof, but I would never show it. But it is what it is.
Okay. The reason that we ask is because Dinesh actually had been very nice, and
yo, Dinesh is wild. I think he said that shit was AI. People were like, yo, Dinesh is saying this AI. I just literally brushed it off because I don't Dinesh ain't on the list right now.
Had said that was an AI voice, but you are confirming that was Dinesh, correct?
Yeah, I don't want to like step on his toes, but like I said, Jason sent me that audio.
Now, this is where if I'm Juice Box out, because I know other information, I'm like, did he send you that exact audio? That exact audio? He sent you that exact out? Was it the same length? Was it shorter? Was it longer? Or was it shorter? Was it shorter? Was it shorter, Aaron? Do you got it? Do you have it where it's cleaned up? Do you have that audio where it's cleaned up and it's not modified to cut out a certain person? And no, that person is not Tony.
Years ago. So that was Dinesh, yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's the first one, and you're
like Juice Pop's like, hey, did you ever go behind Jason's back and try to pitch something to whether it be Hasbro, Marvel, DC? Did you ever do that shit? That's what you gotta be like, man.
Confirming that Dinesh was a little bit of a rebel rouser, and that you did put the money into the film. It wasn't just I didn't take 50% to take 50%. I took 50% to do all of the encompassing things. Because maybe that's what Dinesh was talking about when he was talking about.
Nah, like I would have grilled Aaron way harder on that Dinesh stuff. I would have actually played that shit for him. Like, hey, what about this part? What about this where Dinesh said you got extra money, and when he asked Jason, hey, did you see any of that? And Jason was like, no, what the fuck is that about? Or what about you allegedly going up to Dinesh and be like, hey, Jason wants this much money, give up the money, don't piss him off. Is that true? I would have been like, hey, is that true? Or is Dinesh lying? I would have said that shit. Like, is he lying? Is he mistaken? Look, man, because what happens, the reason why you do that is because you want him to confirm facts, right? Because if he confirms the wrong fact, then people are like, wait, I was on a Ninjak. I never got any of that. That's why when you ask people, you want them just to confirm facts, things like that.
50%, he was thinking my 50% versus, the 50% that Aaron was talking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that were said during that. Jason is the one that recorded that. I don't know if people know that. That was Jason who actually recorded that audio. And that's, Tony Diaz with him. And Jason recorded it and sent it to me because
there's a couple more people there, brother.
He was like, look at all this trash that, that Dinesh was talking about you. Now, at the same time, Jason was upset.
Bro, you know what pissed me off? When Jason said he couldn't afford to leave Aaron. You think that's talking trash about you? Do you think that's talking trash? Give me a second. I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up.
With me though. It's like, and I try to explain to people, I'm like, when you have a brother, you're like, I'm mad at you. You're like, I love you, but I'm mad at you, and it's like this.
You're not his fucking brother, man. I cannot see in any world where you're his brother. I can't. If you're his brother, then you might be like fucking Abel or something, dog.
Sort of like, so he sent that to me and, and I was like,
or Kane. That's the type of brother I think you come off to me.
But at the same time, because, Dinesh was saying a lot of stuff, but at the same time, I think they were drinking too. I think
what was Jason drunk? You trying to discredit the audio? Like, dude, I would have, look, man, Juicebox, we would have had to listen to that shit, dog. Hey, let's get through it, man. Like, come on, man. It's 24 minutes, Aaron, dog. Come on, dog. Let's get through it, man.
They had been drinking, so, because Dinesh had said, like, at one point that, like, I think he said, like, I embezzled money, and he's like, and that's why he got fired.
Which I even defended Aaron on the embezzlement stuff. I did defend him. That's a crazy allegation. Crazy allegation. All right, I found the audio. I'll let this keep playing while I search for it.
Fired, which like none of that's true. Like he I believe he got bought out. Like, and he accepted the offer when he got bought out of that, which was a really nice deal for him. So that was understandable. And
bro, he talked about it in the audio. See, this is where like Juicebox, I would say it was a missed opportunity unless Aaron was like, hey, we can't play that audio in the interview. I'm like, dog, we about to play this shit. You've been here for 2 hours. I don't give two shits about your movie budget numbers that only you know to be true. Let's talk about this audio.
Embezzling money is like a crazy accusation where I was
That
like,
is a
that
crazy
makes you like liable for like saying that.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, makes you liable for saying that. Dude, shut the fuck up, man.
But me and Dinesh are cool though. I was like I said, I think you're drinking. And if you talk to, I have a good relation with Valiant. I mean, you call Valiant right now and ask them if that's true. They'll tell you it's false. But you know, the audio, like I said, Jason just had a misunderstanding in terms of what he thought 50% meant.
Okay. But it sounds like both of them had a misunderstanding.
And,
all right, I got it. And let's pull it up, man. Here we go. To see a man broken. Let's turn the captions on for you guys. My caption should be dumb big.
Stop. Why Aaron, man? There's so many others.
Here's why. Because when Johnny wrote this thing, Aaron put his 2 cents in. And when I said, okay, well, we're going to walk, well, I told Johnny, go with your own shit. Like, we don't have to, but Aaron felt like he was attached to it. And, you know, I designed this, I designed that. And yeah, but I'm not too worried about it because
say no, man.
No. I mean, I can't financially.
There's many things that Aaron said.
I can't financially, dog. I can't financially.
Yeah, but I'm not too worried about it because
say no, man.
No. I mean, I can't financially.
There it go, right there. I can't financially. Not, I really want to do it. Oh no, Aaron is a great guy. I think he's the one for the job. I can't financially. So like Juicebox, if you would have played that, like, wait, Jason said he couldn't walk away from you financially. Can you elaborate on that? I'd have been like, hey, like we would have had to listen to it, man. And then Aaron probably like, no, we're not listening to that Dinesh shit because it cuts. It cuts. He's trying to say, well, Jason was drunk and he was just talking shit, dog. When someone tells another person, hey, why him, man? I can't fight. Why him? I can't walk away. You know, when Johnny wrote this thing, written by Johnny Young Bosch, we got a new script or whatever, and we'll get to the script at a later point. It's a long stream. I can't financially does not mean I have confidence in Aaron. It means I don't have the money to walk away. That's what that means to me. And that's why I'm like, well, why would he, if he was talking shit just to see what he says, this seems like a very, hey, drinking or not, this seems like a very sober thought. This seems like a very sharp Jason. Like, I hate it. I hate it. Make them watch it. Make them listen to it. Now, I don't agree with the embezzling, but still, make them listen to the goddamn tape, man. I would have whipped at least a 1 second clip on his ass, like, whoop-ow, what do you think about this?
That was 5-6 years ago, and I mean, like me and Jason were obviously super close. Like I said, he sent me the audio, so he was like, there's obviously nothing.
Did he send you that, or did he send you a 5-minute version? That's what I'd be like, hey, did he send you that exact version? That's what I've been, and then you want him to say yes. And you're like, so how many people were there total? Then bam, hey, I just need a number, dog. How many people were there total? Well, who were there other people? Who was there? There's one other person that was there. Like, And if Tony was there, his fucking alcoholic ass. He was hitting me up at like 2 a.m. like, hey, Henry, shut the fuck up, man.
In there that he said that I didn't know that he already thought.
And you got the original audio because you confirming today that Tony was in there, and I believe Tony was edited out of the audio that was leaked.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I reached as soon as I leaked. I reached out to Tony and I was like,
bro, with the head scratch, dog. As soon as it leaked, I was like, Tony, and that's not that is not the audio where the greed came from. The greed, this audio right here that, he was like, that came from there. I'm like, no, it did not.
Originally, I wanted to do 250,000, but Aaron wanted more. Greed.
This came from a personal friend at JDF who can't stand Aaron.
Did you post this online? I was like, where did this come from? And he's like, it's not me, bro. It's not me. And I was like, oh, okay. Tony, like he's posted since like video of him like all that kind of stuff, you know.
No, he didn't. I posted it. I posted the video. I posted it.
Where Jason like chokes out Dinesh a little.
I posted it. No one else did. Just me.
Longer than he should and stuff like that.
It wasn't long, bro. I would have like this video. Look, Juicebox, if you'd have like, hey, can I get that video? I'm like, this video, hell yeah, dog. Like, hey, this one, was he really doing it like that? But like, if a fan just doesn't know, they're like, oh, I don't know anything about this. Aaron seems like a stand-up guy. I'd be like, really?
But yeah, but it's like I said, it's just a disagreement. We passed it up.
No, for sure. That answers a lot of questions, and I do have another one. So you and Jason were working on this thing for a decade, pretty much, when it was incorrect.
Hey, did they have another writer? A college student? And just be like, hey, did a college student help you with this? When it was called, Legend of the Emerald Dragon, did you adopt any of that? Did he? I'd be like, hey, did a college student help you?
Correct me if I'm wrong, when it was originally Emerald Dragon.
And just get him to say no. Just how I set his ass up. Hey, is someone saying that you wanted half the budget? Is it true? No. well, Bat in the Sun wants half the budget. Like, dog.
Then it turned into the Green Ranger series, and then it turned into White Dragon, the Power Ranger spinoff, and then White Dragon, correct? Like, it went through several iterations.
It did, and the first iteration actually was White Dragon. It was an original project that we wanted. Basically, it always was Old Man Tommy, and that's what it's always held on to. Mm-hmm. And then, because we were going to do like our own thing, and there's a great video that will get released online of me and Jason sitting in his living room the first week that we met, saying like, we started something here amazing, guys, and we can't wait for it to come to fruition. And then 10 years later, I have the same video. I have the video of us sitting down now on a green screen in our dragon suits, saying, "We completed that vision. Here it is."
Bro, how? If Johnny Young Bosch wrote the first one, right? All right, let me just keep going, man. We got to get through it. I think we got like 10 more minutes left.
It's like wonderful video, but it went through iterations though, because originally we were like, we could pitch it to Saban, and they're like, no, let's pitch it to like maybe let's make it a Power Ranger thing, do Old Man Tommy, and we pitched it to them, and you go through that whole rigmarole of how it changed hands and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't fully turn into what Jason wanted it to be, but that was a blessing though, because we were able to make because if Emerald Dragon ended up becoming what it was in a comic book, we wouldn't be here today with White Dragon. So like everything that happened, I'm really
I don't got a Twitch person up in here. Oh man,
glad that it did. I'm glad that it all worked out. So but the pathway that you just explained, that is I think the correct path.
No updates on Twitch right now, dog.
Would it be fair to say that you're 50% owner of the White Dragon, almost like Eastman and Laird were 50% owners of Turtles Den?
So originally, yes. Okay. I have the copyright paperwork of all our stuff copyrighted, and me and Jason are 50% owners. We created it back then. But when Chris came on and he put his money in, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Then it became a three-way. And
I'd be like, yo, what percentage is it? 33, 33, 33? Like, what is it? Is it 60%? Chris, 20 and 20?
And then that's when it changed over to the White Dragon LLC.
Okay, so that was going to lead into my next one, is that if Johnny had come in, then it would have been a 25, 25, 25, 25 then, because Johnny did put in his particular portion into the film, but then obviously left. So you guys cut that out, right?
So Johnny came in.
Bro, yes or no? Did you cut his shit out or not?
And Johnny's fantastic, by the way.
Bro, don't glaze John. He ain't gonna be in the next beatdown.
Like a super great guy, very talented. I spoke with Johnny today because all this, like some of the stuff was going online. He called me and he was like, "What is happening?" And I was like, "I know." Came in, and Johnny's fantastic, by the way. He's like a super great guy, very talented. I spoke with Johnny today because all this, like some of the stuff was going online. He called me and he was like, "What is happening?" And I was like, "I know." But Jason brought Johnny on.
Bro, Johnny called him today or whenever y'all were doing this interview. What are the odds, huh? Remember he went live last time, like, oh, Johnny called me again, bro. Like, Aaron is calling everybody. Like, do not talk to Henry. I hate that guy.
Johnny a few times because he cameoed in Power Rangers versus, Green Ranger versus Ryu. And so I knew him and he was like, "I want to bring Johnny on." I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, like I said, I love collaborating. Bring Johnny on. This would be great. And then Johnny looked at what we had, and Johnny had ideas. He had a lot of.
Yo, Black Radiant comic book Kyle Higgins trolled Aaron. I'll send you everything after stream.
Really, really cool ideas. A lot of those, like when we wrote the initial, like the original Kickstarter video that went online, he came up with a few of the lines, and he really liked to be really hands on, which was great. I love that. I forget like what lines they were, and he might be able to tell you. But he came up with like a lot of backstories. He really wanted to flush things out, and he had a lot of cool ideas. It was very Power Ranger-y. Like I think he.
Yeah, I think the first one they had to get the Power Rangers approval because it was Power Ranger adjacent. And then the second go around, it was not Power Rangers adjacent. It was their own IP.
Like I could be wrong on this, but I think like he wanted to name the city, instead of Angel Grove, it would have been like Angel Graves or something. Like it was like a spin on it. Don't exactly quote me on that. I have to ask John. He might be like, no, Aaron, it's this. And I'm like, oh, right, that sounds better. My way, but I have to say them. But he had a lot of really cool ideas. But it was all very like it was still very Power Ranger. Like it was very much like kind of like, I don't want to say a Power Ranger fan film, but it walked that line too much. And that wasn't Johnny's choice either. That was kind of when. Basically, when we kind of went through the rigmarole of trying to get the Emerald Dragon as a comic book, and then that kind of went through the different things. We're like, well, we can still kind of keep it kind of like.
Yo, who wrote Emerald Dragon? Who'd you collaborate with? Just curious.
For the fans, they kind of, I don't know if they, and then so when we brought Johnny on, he went with that. He went with that idea and stuff. Now we never talked about, and I don't think we did. We never like put it to paper. In terms of like ownership, but like me and Jason were always like a big handshake guy, and we were big fairness people. Like Johnny comes in, then he's entitled to the percentage that he comes in at.
Wait, no contracts, huh? No contracts? Wait. Handshake guy. Bro, do not do business with anybody on the fucking handshake, dog. I don't want to go back, but I thought he said they both owned the copyright. And he just said on the handshake, we were big handshake guys. This is the last guy in the world you want to do a handshake deal with.
I don't think we did. We never like put it to paper in terms of like ownership. But like me and Jason were always like a big handshake guy, and we were big fairness people. Like Johnny comes in, then he's entitled to the percentage.
Bro, fairness? Are you serious? Look, yo, people who worked in Bat and the Sun still had no idea what AdSense was. It was like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, dog, look how much money he was making. And he was giving you how much? Copy. Here we go. Wait. I think we jumped ahead. We're at 147. Nope, here we go. Right here. Here we go. All right.
50% owner of the White Dragon, almost like Eastman and Laird were 50% owners of Turtles Den.
So originally, yes. I have the copyright paperwork of all our stuff copyrighted, and me and Jason are 50% owners. We created it back then. But when Chris came on and he put his money in, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Then it became a three-way, and then that's when it changed over to the White Dragon LLC.
Bro, wait. I think you just said at 147 you were a handshake guy. I'm sorry, guys. I'm right here.
With that, he went with that idea and stuff. Now we never talked about, and I don't think we did. We never like put it to paper in terms of like ownership. But like me and Jason were always like a big handshake guy, and we were big fairness people.
I thought you, look, man, bro, y'all got to catch him in this shit in the act. Shout out to Juicebox Poppy.
Like Johnny comes in, then he's entitled to the percentage that he comes in at.
Bro, if I'm coming in, hey, we gonna have to get this shit. We gonna have to get the paperwork together before anything, before I even open my mouth.
You know what I'm saying? So like that would, but then the project never happened. Yeah. And then that all fell apart. And him and Johnny and Jason went off to do another project. And that the timing wasn't right for the two of them. There was a lot of other things that was kind of going on, which I don't want to speak for Johnny on that. But then when we started doing White Dragon, just the timing wasn't right to have Johnny back in it. But there's no bad blood between me and Johnny, and there's never been.
I don't believe so. I mean, I don't know Johnny.
I don't think it's bad blood either, but I can't imagine Johnny would work with Aaron. I couldn't imagine it.
Yeah, I know Johnny. I've met Johnny, but I don't think there's a bad blood in him, or if there is, he just doesn't.
No, Johnny's
doesn't partake in it.
Yeah, no, Johnny's super cool, and the reasons why that project that they wanted to do fell apart. I mean, it was just a bad situation, and it wasn't Johnny's fault by any means. That all just kind of what it is, But I don't know the next answer your question because you answered
No,
that.
it does answer the question. I mean, so you guys left out Johnny's part in his things because it just was too Power Ranger related. So you guys reworked it, and there's no bad blood. That's why Johnny's not on the project. Is basically what we're getting at, right?
Yeah, and the stuff that he wrote that was quote unquote Power Ranger related, that wasn't like his doing. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, well, his parts weren't good enough.
No. We know Johnny is award winning, so
Yeah,
you're
he's
not
great.
mentioning his name in any way,
Yeah, and I purposely because the armor that he wore in the original Kickstarter, I made sure that armor wasn't used in the new one because I was like, if Johnny wants to come back, I want to make sure that he can still just kind of slide right into it, and so that's kind of I guess what it is. But in terms of ownership, it's always been me and Jason and then Chris.
Okay, so it is like an Eastman layered kind of situation where it's like if any changes need to happen or anything needs to go down, it would be the Frank estate, it would be you, and it would be Chris, correct?
Yes, and we're all like, I read some weird comment once. They're like, I bet you it's Tammy that's holding this up, which is I can say here is 1,000% false. Tammy is
Bro, Tammy has no idea about this guy, bro.
so supportive and so loving of this project and Jason's legacy. So like anyone that no one should be putting any sort of blame on Tammy. She's fantastic.
Bro, ain't nobody everyone putting the blame on you, dog.
Fantastic.
We are big.
Oh, he's talking about the my insider who said things had to go through legal
Proponents
for Jason David Frank's estate
of Tammy. Drew and I are both proponents of Tammy. We support and we love Tammy. We know that this situation is not an easy situation. I lost my father and my mother went through the exact same things that Tammy is going through. It's not an easy thing when you lose the love of your life, number one, or the person that was the main decision maker / breadwinner, everything. I mean, she's figuring it out, and unfortunately, I mean, I'm not bad mouthing anyone, but it's kind of like, hey, she's figuring things out. Eventually, everything is going to come to fruition for them.
Yeah, they're working real hard. So I mean, I see them all the time. I mean,
all right, we're pretty much done unless Juicebox Poppy has something. Drew wanted me to skip to a certain part where he grills him about Amy Jo Johnson, 158.48. Did I miss anything else, guys? Did I miss anything else? If I did, let me know because I'm about to skip ahead. We're about to finish up this segment. Then I'll drop the link. 158.48. 158. 157. Let's just start right here.
Movie sets, people even die, and they have all the rules and regulations and stuff like that. So it's like, it's really important. I'm really proud of the fact that we got through, 27 or 28 beatdowns. Dying is easy. Ninja versus Valiant versus Power Rangers versus Street Fighter, White Dragon. And I was like, there really wasn't like any like bad injuries where we had to like.
Bro, I know one stunt person who would never work with him again. I'm trying to get this person on record. I'm trying.
Call over like, oh my God, we got to go to the hospital, these different things. So
professional stunt person.
So, I was really quite proud of that. Just as a stunt person, because I hate seeing stunt people taking advantage. That always resonated with me when I was working on Deadliest Warrior.
I wanted to ask because a lot of
I'm sending this clip to that person like, yo, look what he said. Look what he said. Like, put that battery like, hey, look what he said. You don't like this stuff. Oh, but I know your story. You never worked with him.
Fans asked about it, and I think if we talk about it, I think it could clear up a big thing, which is was Amy Jo involved in the original story or any of the stories you guys had?
Well, that's a good question. I saw this question. Yes, why did Kevin not become Dragon Prime? That might be some insider information you got there, Cayenne. What the hell are you talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean? All right, let's go back to Drew's question. All right.
If we talk about it, I think it could clear up a big thing, which is was Amy Jo involved in the original story or any of the stories you guys had?
I'm sure you're referencing all the drama that went.
Bro, Drew woke up 2 hours in, bro. True, 2 hours in. Now he's like, "Oh, you're referencing the drama." Like, dog, we not referencing drama. Amy Jo Johnson will never talk to this dude.
In the original story or any of the stories you guys had?
I'm sure you're referencing all the drama that went down with between kind of me and Amy Jo is probably what I'm going to touch on. So that was I'm sure all my fault. But misspeaking, Amy was not. She was not involved with anything. I've never met Amy. I don't know Amy.
Bro, don't skip over all your fault. Highlight that shit.
She seems like a nice person. Basically, what happened was, and that book, the book that she was writing, came out, or it was announced or whatever, and it was not privy to me that was like Amy working on it. I just thought it was Boom. And I was like, oh, this is the story that Jason had wanted to tell. He wanted to tell where he had a daughter who looked like Jenna or was Jenna, because Jason always wanted Jenna to be in Power Rangers. He'd spoken to Iris, the casting director, over there many times to try to get that to happen. I was like,
yeah, bro, but you got to have like a script, dog. You can't just be like, oh, I have this idea. Like, yo, I got an idea for a live stream. Oh my God, Aaron's live streaming now. He just stole my idea, man. What the hell, dog? What? You just stole it, guys. That was my baby. All right, Juice Box, that's for you. No one else. No one else. Juice Box, please help me. Help me.
Like a story he was pitching all the time. And I believe he talked to Amy about it, but that's also like not like
or Aaron Schoenke or any of my Bat in the Sun insiders that want to go live in public.
You know, that's a very loose idea. You know, he had some specifics that he wanted, how he wanted to do it. Him and me talked about it. Like, Jason like to run things off me. He's like, what do you think? And I was like, well, you can do these ideas, kind of rearrange it and blah, blah, blah. So, and because of how everything went down with, you know, Jason feeling.
Bro, I'm kicking y'all out. I said only for Juice Box Poppy. Only, sorry, Jannar. Yeah, there we go, Jannar. I appreciate you, Moses.
Robbed, or that things were stolen from him, or, you know, things not working out the way he wanted to. And being his friend and angry for him.
The champ has arrived, guys.
When that got announced, I was like, wow. I was like, I hope they're not like taking, you know, Jason's idea. And then people were like, Amy would never steal from him. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is Amy, right? And then what was to keep going? And then someone came out and they're like, you know, no one, like Jason and Amy are so crazy close that no one misses Amy more, you know, or no one misses Jason more than Amy, you know? And then I was like, well, that's not, I'm like, they weren't that close, right? And this is where I'm bad on the internet because, like you said, sometimes I'm not as clear, or I just, because I'll be working, I'll type up something really quick, send it and not look. And I'm like, how does that look to the rest of the world? So then what happened was, and then people were like, you're saying that they're not that close? And I was like, what I was saying was they weren't that close. You're saying that Amy misses Jason?
Bro, what level of closeness are you talking about, man?
You keep talking over me. Then I can't answer, and why am I here then?
The most, more than Tammy or Jenna? I'm like, no, they were not that close. I'm not saying they weren't close. I'm not saying that at all. They're very close, obviously. You know, but I'm like, they're not to the level of the way that Tammy or Jenna misses Jason. I was like, don't say that. And
bro, you didn't say that though. You didn't say that. You didn't say, hey, she wasn't closer than Tammy or Jenna. You said they just wasn't that close.
And there's also like a part of me that I don't want to say that I get short with people because I try to be as diplomatic as possible. But sometimes like I see Tammy or Jenna getting attacked and it makes me angry, you know, just because I know them more. And I was like, don't.
Yeah, dog, they are fucking meat shields.
Don't trivialize their pain by trying to raise up this person. I meant no disrespect to Amy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know her. And then she tweeted at me and she was like kind of mad. And I was like, I understand why she's mad, because the way that all kind of went, like it looked like I was kind of like saying that she was stealing ideas and that she wasn't close to Jason. I was like, that.
Bro, look at that. Look at him saying his idea was stolen just because of someone shipped Kimberly and Tommy and they had a baby that became a Power Ranger. How many people came in with that shit back in the day? Now, if it was like, hey, yeah, I had a script where this and this happened, then you talk about it. But you can't write, Aaron. You didn't have a script.
It's not what I meant. I could see how it would come across that way. And I think I explained this before somewhere else where I was like, none of that was supposed to be how that was supposed to be. But I have no problems with Amy and you know, and then the fans started coming at me with like, they're best friends. They're like, I'm like, well, they're not that.
Yeah. How do you know, man? Like, how do you know who Jason's best friend was? Like, how do you ascertain that? Who was Jason's true best friend? And please don't say yourself, because you're the same person he said he couldn't financially get away from.
I'm not, and now I'm having to like kind of like walk out of this problem that I was like, look, no disrespect to her. They're friends. Obviously know each other a long time. You know, they're not the best of friends, but I say that, but that's reserved for Tammy and Jenna. So it's no disrespect to her. It's, if anything, I'm trying to give all the respect to Jenna and Tammy, because I wasn't really trying to do that. And I felt bad. I almost like, I don't know Amy. You know, I spoke to Jenna about it and I was like, maybe I'd like to reach out to her and talk with her. I was like, but I don't want to make it. Then it's like,
fuck no, dog. You be trying to picture in the project like, hey, we should do something together. You should be in the next Beatdown and make an appearance. We get millions of views.
I'll make it worse. I just kind of just, you know, I was hoping that I'd run to a convention, but I don't do a lot of conventions. And, you know, and so I was like, I have no problems with her. Like, she's fine. She's never been mean to me, or I've never, you know, so it's like, it just became a thing that should not have become. And ultimately it's probably because I did not use my words correctly, you know, which the internet can be intense, but that's not no excuse. I should have just, you know, done a little more research before, or put a little more thought into what I said, but I didn't mean that.
And I guess since this is going out to the world, I guess this is a way for Aaron to say, you know, I messed up. I'm sorry, Amy. Just in case
I didn't
run into her, you know?
Yeah, I never meant in that sort of original comment that everyone was like, oh, you're attacking Amy. And I was like, well, I didn't mean that to be that.
Leave Amy alone, bro.
Daughter character, actually, I didn't even know. You know, she has a daughter, and it actually looks very similar to Frances, her daughter. Her damn. I think
like that. Yeah.
Or Frances, Frankie. She looked like Frankie. So you know, it was totally. I mean, I saw what you saw, because when I first saw it, I was like, "Is that Jenna?"
That's what I thought. And I was like, "Oh."
And then,
I mean, it definitely looked like Jenna, man. I'm gonna just I don't think there's no more juice in here. I honestly didn't make it through. I probably had like 10 minutes left. But what did you guys think of the Aaron Schoenke interview, man? I thought Juicebox Poppy was fucking phenomenal. He was so good. Guess what? We're about to bring him on next. But do me a favor, go to his channel, subscribe it, watch the whole video without me blabbering over it so you can make your own interpretation of it. Link to it will be in the description. I'll see you next video. Peace.